Dear colleagues, guests, we would like to start. I think we have almost 40 participants here today, and I would like to welcome everyone here in our online event. Today we would like to consult and kind of describe what our recent innovations in terms of digital development of our regulator, Astana Financial Services Authority, happened during the last year, and how you, as our client, as our firms, would need to navigate yourself through this new technological platform. The platform will eventually consist of many different features and applications, but for today we would like to stop and discuss on only 3 of them. This is for registration process. Will be presented by Damili Tungatarova. She will explain how you can reserve the name, the whole process of registration throughout the platform, what the documents registering the department is looking for, and what are the kind of frequent mistakes that applicants are doing. Then that presentation will be followed up by senior manager from FinTech Division, Amir, who will also guide you through the process of application. We have 2 distinct stages as pre-application, where we apply eligibility criteria, where the firm is capable of being FinTech or not, and then the full application process. Everything is today done fully online. So I think it will be helpful for the audience to understand how that works. And then it will be followed by the presentation from Authorisation Division, Ancillary, who will also guide you through the process of application for ancillary service providers. I think each presentation will take about 15 minutes, and then we will have Q&A session at the end for 15 minutes. So roughly, I think the whole event will be no more than 1 hour, during which time I hope you will gain a lot of useful knowledge and became familiar with the digital resident platform of the AIFC. Thank you very much for coming. And without any due delay, I will pass the virtual microphone to Damili. Damili, up to you now.
Thank you, Nurhat. And so let's start with the ways how to register a private company online. You can do it using the given link or scan QR code on these slides. Also, you can find this link on our websites, asa.ic.kz. Then you will be forwarded to the main page where signing up is required. After the login process, you will be suggested to choose what type of application you need. For private company registration, you should choose a registration application and click on private company from the suggested list. And name reservation is a separate process, and you just need to click on name reservation and once again choose name reservation. So how to perform name reservation? Name reservation process consists of 4 steps: application, review, payment, and overview. And only 2 sections need to be filled. As you see on the right side of the slide, for the name reservation, only name, surname, contact details, proposed full name, and abbreviated name are required. Then you need to declare all information and continue with the payment. Please be aware that the reserved name will be allocated under your account. It's important to remember that the name can be reserved for 30 days. Upon reservation expiration, the company name will be removed from the list and become available to use for other applicants. The fee is non-refundable. Things to remember when choosing a proposed company name. The name must be written using the English alphabet. It must not be misleading. The name must not contain the words bank, insurance, or trust, and words that suggest in some other way that is authorized to conduct financial services in AIFC. Your company name also cannot contain a sensitive word or expression or suggest a connection with the government or local authorities unless you get permission. Reservation name fee is $50 and only online payment is applicable. So before we start with the registration process, I just want to share with you main requirements for private company registration. It must have a registered office in AIFC, not traded shares on public exchanges, have at least one shareholder, can be a natural person or body corporate. Ensure that its name is immediately followed by the word limited or abbreviation LTD. Have no requirements for minimum share capital, have at least one director, natural person only. Chief Executive Officer, natural person only with the individual identification number is a mandatory field for CEO. If you don't have EIN, please contact AIFC Expert Center. Registration fee, $300. On the next slide, we can see a list of supporting documents which are required for the registration. Articles of association in the case of using bespoke articles. If you adopt a standard article, signature and submission to the registrar is not required. Resolution template is also available. Passport or ID for director, shareholder, CEO, UBO, authorized signature, secretary if applicable, and if incorporated shareholder body corporate, a copy of certificate of incorporation or document of a similar effects. Payment confirmation if the payment was offline. Online registration process for private company consists of 14 sections, and I will pay attention only to major requirements. First of all, you should declare that all information is true and complete. Consent to share all information with AIFC authority and click that you are aware upon submitting your application. You will not be able to edit it. Then tick this section, firstly save, then click next. Also fill in applicant contacts and save it. These slides show us that if you have some concerns for filling applications, you can just open information section, which consists of the main requirements. In addition, if you don't know what type of activity code to choose, you also can open information section and download statistical classification of economic activities. Multiple choices available, but no more than 3. Section 4, it's about registered office address. In this section, you can choose from 2 options, search by address details or search by registration code address. I have chosen registration code address, and other information as street, district is filled automatically. Registration code address is a unique code of the property determined by address. Company must at all times have a registered office in AIFC to which all communications and notices to the company may be addressed. If you want to apply for co-working package provided by AIFC, please write to property@aifc.kz. Information of shareholders. Private company must have at least one shareholder, can be individual or body corporate. If one shareholder is a body corporate, please disclose all beneficial owners up to natural person. For UK ID holders, it's required to provide first name, last name, and patronymic name in Cyrillic as per issuance of identification document in a view of given case. And all natural persons are obligatory to proceed through verification process. How to do it? We can see it on the next slides. Yes, on this slide, main stages of validation are shown. You just need to upload your identity document, passport, or ID. Take first selfie with the document in hand and second photo with selfie without the document. If your computer has no camera, you can continue verification on your phone. by copying the link or scanning the provided QR code with your phone. When the verification process is finished, the applicant will be redirected to a digital resident platform. The necessary data will be extracted automatically. This slide shows us that the process of application filling for sections 7 to 10 are similar. You can apply previously filled shareholders information if the shareholder is director or authorized signatory as well, or you can send the link for QIC report via email. Resolution of incorporation can be uploaded by two options, using a template or uploading your own resolution. I have chosen the first option, and as you see on the right side of the slide, template is editable. I just add my name and company name, and all other sections are completed automatically. This form of resolution meets all our requirements, such as company incorporation, appointment of director, authorized signature, CEO, and adoption of proposed articles of association. You only need to sign and upload this resolution. The same process for section 12, articles of association. You can choose from two options, adopt as standard articles or upload bespoke. You may download the standard articles of association from AIFC official website. If you choose bespoke, you should confirm that the articles of association proposed to be adopted by the company comply with the requirements of AIFC companies regulations. Sections 13 and 14, you need to fill in questionnaire, and if answers are yes to any of the questions, it's required to provide detailed explanation or attach separate documentation. After filling all application, you need to make sure that all sections are shown as green. If one of them is gray, you need to return and continue with this section. Review and payment. When the applicant fills the application from the go to review page and can choose payment method, pay as individual or body corporate, can make online payment or download invoice to make payments offline, fill in required information or apply previously filled details. After that, invoice will be generated and you need to be sure that you are familiar with all the necessary information. Invoice is valid for 30 days from the issue date. All bank charges must be paid by the payer, and for online payments, you will have only 20 minutes to complete the payment. Checkout is automatically generated and you can make a payment. Once the payment is approved, the application is submitted to Registration Division. If application needs additional information, it will be returned for updates. If everything is okay, application will be removed and sent for being assignment. Once the company is registered and being assigned, the certificate of incorporation will be saved automatically on your digital resident dashboard section registered entities. Here you can see a template of certification of incorporation with the company name, the business identification number, the date of registration. After the scanning of the QR code, you will be transferred to the public register page. In your dashboard on Digital Resident, you can also use useful links such as communication to attach additional supporting documents, external services for submitting tax and statistic reports, and apply for a digital signature or apply to visa. These are governmental services and you will be just transferred to their pages. There are also such sections as user manuals on how to pass QIC, how to use digital AIFC portal, and frequently asked questions. And the final section is devoted to frequent mistakes. It's important to remember that company name should be identical in 3 languages. Only legal entity form can be written in Russian and Kazakh. As you see in this example, correctly company name ticked by green mark. Patronymic name in Cyrillic is obligatory for Kazakhstan citizens. Otherwise, the system will decline the application automatically. Filling out name, surname, patronymic name should be identically as per ID. If a name is indicated with Kazakh letters, please fill out accordingly. Paper version for the online registered company with QR certificate of incorporation is not required. So thank you for your attention. If you have any questions, you can write to registration AFSA KZ, registration support team rsbdifc.kz, call to our call center, chat. We have a chatbot on our digital resident platform, and scan this QR code to find digital resident page. Thank you for listening, and Amir will continue with the topic and principal approval for FinTech division.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Damili. Thank you, Nurhat. Now we will move on to FinTech lab overview and the process going deep to help your FinTech products be registered and tested within AFSA and AIFC. First of all, let's go through the roadmap of FinTech development within AIFC. Your FinTech product should go through incubation and acceleration. And for these purposes, we have like several departments to help the FinTech companies, such as, for example, FinTech Hub. Then once your product is developed, it needs to be tested. And for these purposes, we have developed like a division called FinTechLab, which is a regulatory sandbox for FinTech products to successfully test their products within a specific jurisdiction. And after FinTech, an applicant or the company can be graduated to apply to full license. Let's go through a quick overview of steps required to be authorized in FinTechLab. So first of all, we need to discuss your proposal. This is available after you complete your pre-application and you'll be granted with certificate of participant. Then you'll go to submission of your application. Then FinTechLab performs a deep risk assessment of your FinTech proposal and building a bespoke set of regulatory requirements and conditions with our innovation policy division. Once you've authorized, you will have a chance to go live with the specific limits to test your products in a live environment. And after you've completed your testing or development goals, you can be graduated from FinTechLab in 3 ways. You can migrate to a full license. You can provide your service as non-financial services, and you can stop providing the services. So basically, we have 2 types of applications in sandbox regime. First one is pre-application, which ends by granting certificate of FinTechLab participant, and second one is FinTechLab license. We need certificate of FinTechLab participant in order to understand if your product is eligible for completing an application to FinTech. And we need this certificate in order to make a discussion with an applicant to perform a consultancy services to help and guide you through the full list of documents required to complete your FinTechLab license application. Both certificates and both certificate and license can be granted using our highly innovative digital resident portal. Yeah, and link you can get the link from the start of presentation from registration division. We have actually the same interface. So let's go through each step to get certificate of FinTechLab participant. First, you will need to be registered in your digital resident portal, and you can find an application from your, you can go to new application and select a pre-application stage, as you can see here, within a FinTechLab tab. This kind of application will welcome you with text, which we call the declaration, which can help you, which can help you to go through this kind of application. There is also a list of prerequisites required to complete this application. You need to be aware of AIFC glossary, of FinTechLab rules, and other. Once you've read your disclaimer and you understand it, we can go to the next step, which is contact details. You'll have to complete your contact details information here, and also we will need to get an information about an applicant, whether it's a legal person or an individual. You'll have to set up a name and last name and the country of origin of the applicant. The next section is a main questionnaire to get the certificate of FinTechLab participant. First of all, you will need to choose a short description of your activity. For that purposes, you will need to go and press a button Add New Activity and select the one. If you cannot find one, you will have to select Ancillary Services, and then in description you'll have to describe your type of activity which you plan to perform. Then we'll go to indication of your core IT systems. Since all FinTech products are highly dependent from an IT and technological products, we need to understand what type of IT systems you are using in order to perform your FinTech activities. Then you'll go to, let me make a bit bigger. Then you will go to ranking of the purpose of applying to license. Here you just rate from 0 to 3 which one is more applicable to you. This will help us to identify which type of license you are most commonly like to apply for. We have two types of licenses. First one is developing license and second one is testing license. Developing license is mostly for international companies who are willing to test their products within our jurisdiction, and testing is for startups and for new products developed within our jurisdiction. Then you'll have to go through a short description of your target clients. You'll have to choose which type of clients you're facing to. Yeah. And that's basically everything we have to for main questionnaire. At the end of the pre-application, we have a final declaration, which you have to confirm in order to submit your pre-application. Once you have confirmed, the submit buttons becomes green and you can submit your application. Then application goes to us, to case officer, and once the new application is received, we are performing preliminary risk assessment. This step is required to identify whether your product is eligible for FinTech or not. If everything is okay, case officer can promote your application to a committee approval and CFTO approval. On both stages, your application can be rejected or reconsidered or sent back to you for any editing or amendments into your application. If on both stages, on committee approval and CFTO approval, CFTO, which is Chief FinTech Officer approval, you'll get accepted, the system issues a certificate of FinTechLab participant automatically. And you'll get this kind of certificate. Basically, this certificate grants you an opportunity to apply for FinTechLab license, which we will cover now. So once you've received certificate, you will have one more button available to choose from your application types. On the FinTech Lab section, you'll have to choose application, not the pre-application, but application, and then choose a pre-application which was accepted previously on the previous stage. And if the pre-application is accepted, you will see this screen where contact details and information on an applicant is predefined, and this is needed for you in order to edit information if you require, or you just can leave this predefined text which is taken from your pre-application. Then we will go to key sections of full FinTechLab license application. First one is a business overview, where you have to attach your business process flowchart. Let me give a bit bigger. Yeah. Where you attach a business process flowchart. Then you'll have to provide information on available funds. Yes. You'll also have to give us information on any activities which will be outsourced or delegated. Then we will have to get more information on your target clients. We need to understand what is number of your clients, what's maximum amount of one client's money on account, and what currency is planned to be used in transactions.
Amir, we lost you, I think.
Hi, Amir.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm extremely sorry for my internet connection. Can you please consult me where I stopped? On which stage? Was it FinTechLab license, business overview, or we went
Yes.
to the legal and regulatory compliance?
You went through this.
Okay. So basically, what you'll have to do here is to download legal and regulatory compliance template. Then you'll have to fill it. This is a questionnaire with yes or no questions. This indicates your readiness to readiness of your anti-money laundering policies and your IT policies. Since we are FinTech, so we can accept some of applications without complete list of documents developed and implemented. Thus, we need this checklist in order to understand what's the stage. So what's the progress of your AML and IT policies. Once you've completed your legal and regulatory compliance template, you'll have to upload it to the system. Next step is to identify whether you need any relaxation or modification of specific regulatory requirements. You will need to choose a rule or a requirement which needs to be waived in order for you to successfully test your product, or modified. Also you'll need to attach your exit strategy with a description of how you will close your company if test is unsuccessful. Next section is fit and proper. Excuse me, can we move on to your questions at the end of the presentation, and I'll be happy to answer all of them. Yeah, so the next section is fit and proper questionnaire. That's basically the same as in registration and on authorization part. This will not go deeply in it, but this is just for us to get confirmation that you were not involved in any illegal activities. And the last section of FinTechLab license application is a summary where you give us information about your controllers, which is shareholders. If it's corporate controllers who have one form, which is not so big, and if it's individuals, we have a bit bigger form, which is actually similar to the registration one, with the name, nationality, and passport data. You will have to also upload your CV and upload a copy of your passport. Also, you'll have to give us information on key officers. The functionality is also automated. You can add your key officers through KYC. You can proceed with KYC yourself or send email to an individual to go through this KYC. All data from KYC automatically attached to the application. You can also you have to also attach financial plan and ownership structure chart, and if you also have any additional supporting documents indicated in the questionnaire, you can also attach it to application. After you have confirmed a declaration on section 6, you will see the button of submit highlighted green. That means that every section is completed, and you can submit your application. Once you submit your application goes to the risk assessment stage, which is performed by our risk experts and case officers. At the end of the risk assessment, 2 documents are generated, which is a risk assessment report and in-principle approval. In-principle approval is a document which is actually states the requirements for you as an applicant to comply with once you are approved. These documents are going to committee approval, and in case of committee acceptance, the in-principle generated on risk assessment stage is sent to you. You'll get an email and a notification that the in-principle is received. You'll have to go through it, and in case if you accept all the conditions and requirements, you just have to attach a letter of approval and press confirm. The letter of approval template is also sent with in-principle letter. Once you accept your in-principle conditions, you'll have to go to company registration. The steps of company registration described by Damili before. On the FinTech Lab part, you just have to send us a BIN of your registered company, so we can link your company with your FinTechLab application. All documents, along with in-principle acceptance letter, risk assessment report, and the details of your company, are going for CFTO approval. And in case if CFTO accepts your application, the license is issued automatically and sent to you within a digital portal, digital residence portal. So what's next? What can you do with our FinTechLab license? The next step is to go live. And one of our key goals is to help our participants to go live as soon as possible. Thus, we help them to be ready and to demonstrate an availability of the IT systems. We also help them to align with our anti-money laundering requirements. And in case if all requirements required for go live are met by an applicant, we are issuing an acceptance to go live for the company, and the company can accept like live clients within the limits set in the application and set in principle letter. This is actually the final step. Once live clients are processed by our applicants, they can go to graduation stage, which is, as I mentioned before, applying for a full license or to perform non-financial services. Thank you for your attention. I'll be happy to answer all your questions at the end of this presentation. And we'll move on to authorization process with Asil.
Thank you, Amir. Let me just share my screen with everyone. Can you please confirm that you can see my screen and hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So hello everyone. I'm Asil. I work as a senior associate in the Authorizations Division, and I would like to present online authorization process of ancillary service providers and authorization process requirements in general. Authorization division deals with applications for regulated activities, for market activities, for ancillary service providers. However, today's presentation focus on ASPs, and as you might already know, there are 5 types of ancillary service providers that can be licensed by AFSA, and these are legal, audit services, accountancy services, consulting services for defined types of consulting, such as management, due diligence, risk consulting and services, and services of credit rating agencies. These are separate. It's not part of consulting. So for these types of activities to be authorized, firms have to comply with certain AIFC rules and regulations. These include AML rules, conduct of business rules, and general rules. This means that firms, prior to applying for providing ancillary services, need to make sure that they are aware of the requirements prior to becoming authorized and ongoing compliance requirements that they need to observe after being authorized. For example, legal service providers audit service providers and accountancy service providers are subject to AML rules as well as Gen rules, while consulting service providers are not subject to AML rules, but are subject to conduct of business rules and general rules. Audit service providers are subject to audit rules, in addition to Gen and AML. And audit rules set out requirements for having in place certain systems and controls for auditing standards and appointing an audit principal who has to meet certain requirements such as qualification criteria, education requirements, and in terms of his or her background and experience. For credit rating agencies, there is a section 14 of Conduct of Business Rules, which set out principles for credit rating agencies and requirements to have certain policies and procedures and mechanisms to ensure confidentiality, transparency, and impartiality of the ratings, of the credit ratings. So it is important to be aware of these rules because supporting information in documents of firms need to be submitted for authorization stem from the requirements of these rules. So here's a slide on authorization process. And as you can see, there are certain steps to be followed, and I'll go through these in more detail in this presentation. So for you to be familiarized with the documents we require to be submitted along with the online application, these are AML policies and procedures, if applicable. So as I said, for consulting firms, this would not be applicable. Copy of the code of conduct. This will be applicable for each type of service provider applying for ASP. Copy of passports if the shareholders are natural persons, or certificate of incorporation if the shareholders are body corporates. Evidence of standing with any regulatory body, if applicable, and CVs of the proposed staff so that we can evaluate the non-financial human resources of the applicant. There is a certain set of documents that need to be submitted for audit companies and for credit rating agencies. I will not go into details here, but evidently this would deal with the service providers' policies and procedures. For auditors, this would also include having the professional indemnity insurance and information about the audit principle. So if we go to the online portal, so in order to apply online and to become authorized as an ancillary service provider, you need to go to Digital Resident portal, register with an email, sign in, enter login and password. Then you can select an application type. In this case, it is ancillary services. We'll go through new application submission today. And here comes the structure of the application. There are 15 sections. The notes for completing the form, declaration, fit and proper questionnaire, submission of the application are straightforward sections. These require yes or no answers. Applicants' contact details, I think, is straightforward too, because you need to fill out the information on which email and telephone AFSA could contact you. Please make sure to provide your actual contact details in this section. It is important to note here that in the fit and proper questionnaire, we expect our applicants to be honest and disclose if there were any cases of litigation or disciplinary action against them. This does not mean that AFSA would reject an application, as any decision is made on a case-by-case basis. Important information in this application to fill out are sections 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12. So this would be the non-regulatory business plan, the types of ancillary services, human resources that the firm would have, and AML section as applicable. We refer to these sections in making our final assessment of the applicant's business. We also look at the strategy and business rationale and business model of the applicant, and this is all set out in these sections, especially in the non-regulatory plan, business plan. So please make sure that you give detailed and full information and description of business model and type of services provided in these sections. For consulting services, please make sure to refer to our guidance, because consulting services is a very general term, and we've provided our AFSA guidance on which consulting services may be authorized by AFSA. So you can find it on our website under guidance. So in sections, going back to the application, in sections on information about the applicant and shareholders, so these are sections 4 and 5. These are the ones where we check fitness and propriety of the people involved in the business, and we conduct background checks of these individuals. That's why I have emphasized the fact that openness and honesty is key in submitting applications, as AFSA conducts its own due diligence, and it saves time if the applicant discloses everything during the application, rather than AFSA conducting additional checks, finding out something, interviewing and asking follow-up questions. So this kind of halts the process. In section 13, additional supporting documents, this requires these documents to be uploaded. You simply upload the relevant file in the relevant section. For auditors, sections 10 and 11 are compulsory. So they're here. And they won't be applicable, of course, if you are not applying for auditors. So if you choose within ancillary services, if you choose legal or accountancy, these 10 and 11, they won't be applicable to you. These are compulsory for auditors, and the requirements are to have adequate systems and controls to ensure compliance with the international standards on auditing, international standards on quality control, and code of ethics for professional accountants. It is also required to obtain adequate and appropriate professional indemnity insurance as required by auditor rules. And please also fill out the section for each audit principle identified within the firm. It is important to note that there are certain criteria for audit principles that is also set out in the auditor rules. So there are certain qualifications, background and experience that has to be in place for an individual to become an audit principal. For payment, after you submit all the required information, you click Submit button. The system will generate an invoice. The application fee currently, in accordance with AIFC fees rules, for ASPs equals to 2,000 USD. That would include, that would be a fee per one application. That's not for example, if you apply for accountancy and legal services within one application, that would be 2,000 USD because it's only one application. You can download the invoice here, pay the invoice offline at the bank. We are currently in the process of developing an online payment and hope that it will be soon available on the system to provide convenience for our applicants. After you pay the invoice, you can attach a photo or scan of the check and send it to us in CRM. And choose whether the payment is made from a legal entity or an individual. And in case it is done by an individual, you need to attach the payer's scan of the identity card. And after the fee is paid in full, we can start processing an application. So that's when the application is fully complete for our purposes. So this is where you upload the payment confirmation. So to recap, what has been presented today on ancillary service providers, to assess an application for a license, the Authorization Division needs to consider standing of the applicant with any regulatory body. So for auditors, it will be Chamber of Auditors, for example. We would also check disciplinary record of the shareholders or partners or head or parent company. We would also look at the policies and procedures of the applicant firm, including AML policies and procedures and code of conduct or relevant systems and controls for the proposed activity, as well as the strategy, business rationale of setting up a firm in the AIFC, as well as the risks posed to AIFC and availability of mitigation mechanisms of these risks proposed also in the within the application. I think the online form is very straightforward, and I hope this clarified certain matters in terms of applying to us. Thank you very much for your attention, and we'll be happy to take your question on any of the topics presented today.
Thank you, Asil. I think we have a couple of questions on the chat. We can grab them out to answer. So one of the interesting questions is where you can find information on your company. I've already answered them. We have a public register where you can find, the link is in the chat. You can find all information on all our participants and all our licenses issued within this link. Please feel free to write.
I think Yejan has a question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, Yejan.
Right. Asil, I just wanted to ask you and the team regarding the obligation to have a separate ASP, Auxiliary Service Provider, for an SPC that's registered on AIFC. Is this a requirement, or could it be a way to simplify this rule, so that an SPC could act as its own ASP?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is within the SPC rulebook. So registration, if you have any comments on this.
Okay, so
hello, Yejan. Thank you for your question. My name is Laura Nurgalieva. Let me join the discussion. And I'm a supervisor of the Registration Division. And I've already provided the answer for your question in the chat box. And I believe that a separate company service provider needs for SPC, because the first one is that SPC is a special legal form only for exempt activities, and no other activities can be permitted for establishing an SPC. And another point is that the SPC cannot be administered by itself, but in general meaning.
okay, thank you, got it.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Razak Basari. I head the Authorizations Division. Just to add to what Laura's just explained there, we do have some of our companies that are ancillary service providers that provide consulting services. But in addition to their consulting services, they will also indicate that they want to act as a corporate service provider. So if you're a consulting service and you want to act as a corporate service provider, once you indicate that on your application, we'll also assess you as a corporate service provider, and that allows you to set up SPCs. obviously most consulting services do not require an MLRO, but the moment you add a corporate service provider to that, we will have, bring in the MLRO considerations, and you will have to have an MLRO.
Yeah, I think that is the thing that I was referring to. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for like.
Are there any more questions?
I think there is a question regarding filing financial statements that is for a company registered in the AIFC in the chat box.
So what was the specific, what do they want to know about filing obligations?
Is there an obligation to file financial statements?
Yeah, all our companies would have, well, if it's a market activity or regulated activity, there are certain filing obligations, obviously prudential requirements, and depending on the nature of the company, some will have to provide quarterly returns, some have to provide annual returns, but you basically need to get yourself familiar with the prudential requirements and the financial reporting requirements. It depends on the nature of the company and the regulated activities involved.
Yes, but this is in relation to regulated entities, and for registered companies,
Yes,
registration.
I think we have separate obligations for all participants. The first one is for all participants obligation that are obligated to submit annual returns to the registrar, and another one is that just Razak just mentioned in relation to authorized firms that has obtained AIFC license. And in relation to AIFC participants that are conducting not financial activities, yes, we have such obligation for all types of legal forms. But for example, for private companies, it could be annual returns or annual confirmation. It depends on another criteria. For example, if the annual number of shareholders exceeding 20, so the company has to provide annual returns, etc. Also, my colleague Anara sent the link for the guidance. You can review this guidance.
Okay, if there are no other questions, I'll just close out by thanking everyone for attending. Obviously, this is the beginning of many, many more presentations that we'll do. As we stated at the outset, this was very much limited to the FinTech lab and setting up a private company and the process for ancillary service providers. We'll do more on regulated activities and various other companies other than just private companies. So this was just the beginning. Again, the digital resident portal is very new. Our online processes are fairly new, so obviously you'll have loads of questions. Please do not, feel shy to contact us with these questions. We're here to assist you. And the whole thing, or the whole process, is to make our authorization process and our registration process a lot quicker and a lot more efficient, which is the whole idea behind the digitalization process. But if you do have any concerns or any questions, please contact us and we'll assist you as much as possible. And, we look forward to meeting you again in the near future. So thank you very much. And thank you very much to all the presenters today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye.